Welcome to another Figuring Out Japan video, and in this video I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the upcoming July 2023 re-release of the Eldorado Fortress from the LEGO Pirate series. I already did a video on my reaction to the set, but that ended up being quite long, so I wanted to make a shorter video actually of my thoughts of the set. Now, I'm a huge LEGO Pirate fan, particularly vintage LEGO Pirate fan. I've reviewed pretty much all of the large sets from the vintage lines. I was the first person on YouTube to do that for some of the most iconic sets, such as the Skull's Eye Schooner and Imperial Trading Post. So if you want to check out some of those videos, feel free to do so, and I'll mention some of the sets from the vintage line to compare, because I think it's important. This set is it actually even says on the box it's aimed for 18 years and up. It's clearly designed for adults when you think about the price, the piece count, the complexity. And so that really is the target market, I think, for LEGO, for people to have that kind of blast from the past from the vintage series. Now, the big question really is, am I going to buy this set? And more importantly, would I recommend this set? The answer, as I mentioned at the end of the other video, is I don't think I will pick up this set. To me, it just looks too similar to the original, and I know it's meant to. Obviously, it's meant to. It's even got the same name, but I just can't really justify the financial side, but probably more importantly, just the shelf space of having essentially two of exactly the same set, and therefore would I recommend it? Look, if you want to get into LEGO Pirates, the original set is crazily expensive, so this is a great opportunity to pick up the set, the Eldorado Fortress. Whether you want the vintage or the new one, you can get essentially the Eldorado Fortress for retail price. So that, of course, is a good thing. But if you're like me and you have the original, I don't really understand why you'd want to go out and buy essentially exactly the same thing. A couple of points I wanted to cover off in this video. Just quickly, changes to the original. The main change is this build, which is this trading ship. This actually comes from set 6277, which is one of the ones I mentioned. I was the first person to review this set on YouTube, and you can see it features in this set. This is a harbor, so it kind of makes sense that they've got a trading ship, and you can see even the minifigs here are not actually they're not pirates, they're not soldiers, they're just kind of merchants and traders. But to me, it seems out of place why they would put this ship here in what's meant to be a soldier's fort, and I think it's a missed opportunity that they didn't have a blue coat, a little blue coat build, or even if they put the blue coat flags on it. And you're paying for this, right? There's a lot of pieces that go into this build, and so essentially you're paying for it. The other big change that they made is that you do not get the pirate captain. So the original set did actually come with both the blue coat admiral and the pirate captain. I believe it was the only vintage set that gave you both captains in the same set. I know the 2011 Imperial flagship gave you both, or had both, but that was the red coat admiral. So a bit of a shame that they didn't do that. Again, most pirate fans are going to have the pirate captain minifig, but yeah, still a little bit disappointing that it didn't have it. So my main, I guess, criticism with this set though is that the design is just a remake of the original. And again, I know it's blast from the past, but it pretty much looks the same, the actual build itself. And ultimately, I think if you want to get the Eldorado Fortress, why not go and get the original? And I think for 2,500 pieces, they could have made something so awesome. And I think they should have done something a bit more like the Knight's Castle that they released in, I think, 2022. Sorry for the ad pop-ups. But yeah, this is 4,500 pieces. It was not a remake of original. LEGO just said, hey, let's have a big piece count, big price, and just make something really awesome for the fans. And I think by all accounts, this was very, very popular with the LEGO community. And I really wish that they had done something similar with with Lego, frankly, because this is the target market. And if you actually look at some MOCs that people just, kind of fans have made over the years, they could have made something very different, and I think something that would have looked, frankly, even a lot better. I mean, these look pretty good in my view. Even something like this, this is the original, and they've kind of taken the same design element, but it looks, in my opinion, pretty decent. Probably better than what we're actually getting with the new release. So I personally would have preferred that. What else could they have done alternatively, even if they didn't make a fort? I think they could have gone and released a ship. Would have been probably my preference. The only blue coat ship we've ever had is the Caribbean Clipper. That's it. That came out at the same time as the Eldorado Fortress in the late 80s. And even though Lego did a pirate wave, I think around 2015, which had the blue coats, they never actually released a blue coat ship. And so I think it would have been really awesome if they had done that. And again, for 2,500 pieces, you think of the price, hundreds of dollars, it would have been awesome. And it would have been great if they did something similar to, this was what I mentioned before, the 2011 Imperial flagship. This was about 1,650 pieces. Just an awesome set. And I really wish they did something similar, but had it with the blue coats. And I know people will roll their eyes and say, well, it's just going to be the same, but they changed the flags from the red coats to the blue coats. But no, if you look at history and you see all the pirate ships, even if you look at Pirates of the Caribbean, or even some of the non-pirate line they've released, for example, the Creator 3-in-1 pirate ship, they've all looked different and they've all had their different nuances. And so I think we could have had something really quite awesome. And the ships, typically they make much better display pieces, and I think fans generally appreciate them more as well. So I personally would have preferred to have seen a ship rather than a base or a fort. But I think even if they did a fort, they could have done it a lot better. And even if you actually go back to the vintage set, so this was the pirate base from the original pirate line. It has 182 pieces, and it's quite a sort of basic, simple build. They're kind of on, they've kind of been stranded on a sort of deserted island, and it looks like they've used elements from a ship to make a fairly, basic base. Now, in the second pirate wave, we got Port Royal or Port Jamaica, or Rock Island Refuge, depending on what part of the world. It had different names when it came out, but it looks like a much more sort of fortified, permanent pirate base. But importantly, it sort of looks like the same family, right? It almost looks like an older cousin of this set. So they look related, but it looks like an upgraded version. And I really wish that they had done something similar with the Eldorado Fortress. The original only had just over 500 pieces. The new one has over 2,500 pieces. 5 times the number of pieces. It pretty much looks exactly the same. So I think it was a really missed opportunity. Another point people might raise is they'll say, well, the Eldorado Fortress is going to look good with the Pirates of Barracuda Bay set that came out a couple of years earlier. And Lego have, I think, designed these sets with that in mind. But, and I've mentioned this in some of my vintage Lego pirate reviews, including when I compared the Skull's Eye schooner with the Rock Refuge, the ships absolutely dwarf the forts. And here's an example. So this is the original Black Seas Barracuda compared to the large harbour on 2 large base plates from the second line of pirates. And you can actually see that remake in the new Eldorado Fortress. So this is the original with set 6277. And you can see it just towers over it. It absolutely towers over it. And I think the reason for that is because the ships are basically minifigure scale. The bases are not, because if you look at this kind of looks about the size of a house if you think of the scale of a minifigure. But of course, a real fort would be much larger, and so the scaling just doesn't really quite work out. And Lego know this because if you look at the original, this is the image from the original Lego Pirate catalog in the late 80s, and what do you notice? Two ships compared side by side. And they were very clever because the Caribbean Clipper is notably smaller than the Black Seas Barracuda, and so they show it from the back because the height is similar, it's just the length that is different. So they show it from the back. Now yes, you can see the Eldorado fortress in the foreground, but predominantly it's ship compared to ship because the scaling just doesn't work. And again, we can see here this is from the second wave of the Lego Pirate series in I think 1992, and once again we see a ship next to a ship, and once again the Redcoat soldier ship is notably smaller than the Skulls Eye Schooner pirate ship, and so again they show it from kind of a front on angle. They don't compare it to a base or a fort. Now again, in the foreground we can see the 6277 Imperial Trading Post set, and it kind of looks like a bird's eye view elevated on a cliff, but they don't show it in this kind of view. This was images, they used to have little posters that came with the sets, and it would be like a very a miniature image, but these kind of views are quite rare. They actually did one as well with the Eldorado fortress, so the Black Seas Barracuda with the Eldorado fortress, because they were from the same line. So yeah, all in all, they're just my thoughts that the it looks too similar to the original. I would have much preferred that they did something more like the MOCS that I showed earlier in this video. I think they really limited themselves in their design potential, and I think therefore they may have missed their target market. They could have even gone something different, like going with a ship, and yeah, ultimately I think the scaling doesn't work great with the Pirates of Barracuda Bay. But that's my thoughts, guys. Again, if you want to check out some vintage Lego Pirate videos, there's a stack of them on this channel. I'll link the playlist in the description. But I'm really interested in what your thoughts are on this set, and also, did you grow up with the original vintage Pirates? Are you just a new fan that's looking to get into it? I'd love to see your comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.